So glad you could join us and welcome to the program. I am Bukola Koka, and we start off immediately. The Bauchi State government is committed to realizing its full potential in agriculture development and has expressed its readiness for the takeoff of the second phase of the Special Agro-Industrial Processing Zones SAPS program. The Governor Bala Mohammed gave this assurance to a team from the African Development Bank during their visit to the state. Our correspondent Hajara Aliu reports.
As the second phase of the SAPZ program of the AFDB is set to kickstart across selected states in the country, officials from the bank visited Bauchi State and met with the governor.
Verification of site.
The team leader explains that they are in Bauchi in preparation to assess the state's readiness to participate in the program, which already has an expression of interest from 27 states.
It would be quite impossible to have all the 27 states on board. So this mission will assess the states that are ready to be part of the second phase. Some of the things that we are here to check is the availability of the feasibility studies, the environmental and impacts assessment report, verification of site for both the agro-industrial hub and then the agricultural transformation centers. Also, we are here to know what are the value commodities that the state want to promote under the SAPZ.
In response, Governor Mohammed lauded the AFDB for its transparent selection process and assures them of the state's readiness to participate in the program.
We have developed our agricultural policy as a state, where we took our baseline studies in all the value chains in the various crops that we are engaging. And that is to give us a benefit of knowledge and insight for where we are and where we want to go, even before the World Bank and experts like you come, because you are going to really assess us. And I want you to be here because you will put us on the edge to be able to perform. I don't want to be favored. I want to be taught how to do it. And I want you to really look at how we have prepared ourselves, even in terms of access.
The SAPZ program aims to explore the agricultural potential of the state. It is a private sector-driven and government-enabled initiative that aims to boost revenue, create employment, and reduce poverty. In a related development, Governor Mohammed also inaugurated the Bauchi State Steering Committee of the 6-year World Bank Assisted Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project and charges them to work hard for the success of the project. Hajara Aliu, Channels Television News.
In agriculture still, Gombe State is sparing no expense in its efforts to bolster livestock production by investing in the Wawazange Grazing Reserve in keeping faith with its National Livestock Transformation Plan of the federal government. Wawazange is a 146,000-hectare grazing reserve empowered by the National Grazing Law of 1965 for cropping and animal husbandry and the Inuwa Yahaya administration's determination to revamping the reserve will generate an estimated minimum of 30 billion naira to Gombe State's GDP, create 40,000 direct jobs, and attract billions of dollars in investment. Gombe State is one of the 10 highest cattle-producing states in the country, and as Nigeria's population rises to 400 million by the year 2050, cattle production remains one of the key drivers towards Nigeria's objective of attaining food security.
This is Wawazange, specially gazetted as a grazing reserve for animal husbandry, as enshrined in the National Grazing Law of 1965. Reviewed in 1999. Sitting on 146,000 hectares of land in Duku local government area of Gombe State, Wawazange Grazing Reserve supports crop and livestock production within its ecosystem. The Gombe State government is set to transform this grazing area into a multi-billion-dollar cattle beef production hub equipped with veterinary clinics, milk processing plants, slaughterhouses, hospitals, and modern schools.
About 144,000 hectares, which had been lying fallow. So we took advantage of it and approached the federal government so that we can key in and join hands together and improve on the productivity, because our people are largely livestock and crop producers. So that is of essence what we did.
Governor Inuwa Yahaya, who leads the yearly vaccination of cattle, wishes to enhance value addition to cattle beef production in keeping with the National Livestock Transformation Plan.
People can come in to invest in slaughterhouses. That is also an advantage. And people can equally set up livestock veterinary clinics. They could set up a lot along the value chain. There is a reasonable ground for which you engage people, both in farming and in production, in monitoring of cattle, and in marketing and distribution. So that is of essence what we are targeting at, to engage our youth especially, and the majority of our people along the value chain of livestock production, so that the economy will improve.
With longer dry seasons and shorter rainy seasons caused by climate change, cattle rearers travel long distances in search of water for their animals, often causing farmer-herder conflicts. The Gombe State Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project says it's bringing water to the Wawazange Grazing Reserve to keep herders in one place with all basic amenities in place.
We contacted a non-governmental organization from US, that is Mexico. We say, look, we have this structure in Gombe State. This is the kilometers and this is what we have, and this is our problem. Can you come over to put our head together to solve this particular problem? And they accepted.
In order to protect the environment, the grazing reserve will be fitted with solar-powered sources of energy, security outfits and boreholes, for which the beneficiaries are grateful. The Gombe State government also plans to utilize state-of-the-art technologies in processing and exporting the products from the numerous value chains possible in cattle beef production. And with the immense potential of the Wawazange Grazing Reserve, the government believes the future is bright.
In its quest to ensure only genuine drugs are supplied into government and private healthcare facilities, the Yobe State Drugs and Medical Consumables Agency has engaged pharmacists and other stakeholders on drugs to review its supply. The event held in Damaturu, the state capital, to checkmate the proliferation of fake drugs, also witnessed awards presentation to best performing healthcare facilities.
Of the Yobe State Drugs and Medical Consumables with stakeholders to improve on the supply of standard drugs as well as review its supply chains. The agency is saddled with responsibility of providing high quality and accessible drugs to about 20 specialist hospitals, general hospitals, and 140 primary health care centers across the state.
The Yobe State Drugs and Medical Consumables Management Agency was actually, established to ensure that we have high quality, accessible and affordable drugs in all health facilities, whether they are public or private across the state. An assessment of those activities that were not implemented, the reasons for not implementing those activities, and then identifying activities that will be rolled over to the next year.
We have completed those period of implementation, so we are trying to review those work plan, whether we have achieved what we want to achieve, what are those challenges that affected our implementation, and what are those opportunities, and what other areas that we can leverage so that we can collaborate with stakeholders so that it can prepare us.
Some of the health facilities that excelled and were presented with plaques as the best performing centers revealed the gesture will motivate them to do more in procuring high quality drugs.
It serves as a motivator, even though I not out of arrogance, We have been patronizing Yodma for long. I can say 100% we don't buy our commodities outside, but actually from Yodma. So I think it's a well-deserved award, actually.
Any reward is a kind of motivation. So it's going to motivate us to go and manage the facility as better as we could and to improve our collaboration with Yodma. Perhaps there is significant improvement in the supply chain of drugs and consumables in all healthcare facilities in Yobe. And the synergy between healthcare facilities, Yodma, and other agencies of the healthcare system, and our mother agency, the primary health, the hospital management board, is not something to be taken for granted.
It is believed that annual review meeting on drug supply will mitigate the problems of supply of the substandard drugs either by government healthcare centers or private individuals.
It appears the Borno State government is declaring its commitment to the rule of law with a workshop on the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The workshop, organized by the state's Ministry of Justice, seeks to educate and acquaint judicial officers, lawyers, security and law enforcement agencies, as well as stakeholders with the provisions of the law.
It's a gathering of critical stakeholders drawn from the judiciary, academia, religious organizations, and the security agencies domiciled in Borno State. The Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, signed the State Criminal Justice Act in 2023. This law, the Borno State Penal Code, and other criminal laws address crimes and security challenges currently confronting the state.
Thank you, Honorable Attorney General.
The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice was the guest of honor at the event, and he sheds light on the Borno State Criminal Justice Law, while the state's Chief Judge speaks on its relevance to the administration of justice.
The Administration of Criminal Justice Law, otherwise known as ACJL of Borno State, contains several innovative provisions such as e-filing, e-recording of proceedings by the court or by parties, virtual hearing, including the use of video link for arraignment of suspects, use of interrogatories, and so on. Some of these are ways ahead of the provisions in the Federal Administration of Criminal Justice Act.
Professor Babagana Zulum believes the participants have what it takes to see to the effective implementation of the law in Borno State.
Access to justice is one of the indices of good governance. Administration of criminal justice is a collective effort among all the stakeholders, and upon the failure of one, the entire process fails. Hence, the need for this all-important workshop. The police, the Department of Defense, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Nigerian Correctional Service, the law officers and the courts are critical stakeholders in the administration of criminal justice. If these stakeholders are trained, we will easily achieve our target without hitch.
The participants will be expected to explore avenues to educate the residents of Borno State on the law and its operations while seeing to its enforcement.
Welcome back. In what appears a swift response to the recent outbreak of measles in 2 local government areas, the Adamawa state government has deployed its health personnel to the affected communities. The Commissioner for Health and Human Services, Mr. Felix Tangwami, disclosed this while briefing the press shortly after the State Council meeting at the Government House in Yola, the state capital. According to him, the outbreak has affected over 300 persons in the local government areas of the state. He also reveals that all the local government areas, except that of Lamurde, are red spot and are under the radar of health workers.
It's the 5th Executive Council meeting of the state with the Governor of Adamawa State, Umaru Fintiri, as its chairman. First is the swearing-in of the new member of the council, Hamajumba Gutagel, as Commissioner of Transport, while Justina Nkom is Special Advisor to the Governor.
And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
The council goes into a closed-door executive session where the recent outbreak of measles tops the agenda. Speaking to journalists shortly after the Executive Council meeting, the Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Nado Kofulto Jeffrey, officially confirms the outbreak.
A health alert that was also discussed at the floor of the council this morning, just to intimate people and let people know that we have a little outbreak on measles and a flash on polio. So we are calling on the people of Adamawa State and advising, especially the elderly, to make sure we stay indoors, to avoid the sun, and to drink a lot of water just to keep healthy.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Health, Felix Dongwami, also reveals that about 42 persons have been confirmed dead as a result of the spread in Gombe and Nubi local government areas of the state.
Movie Note has recorded suspected cases of 131 and that of Gombe 177. And Movie Note also recorded 23 deaths as of today. The total is 23 and Gombe 19. Last Saturday, we were opportune to visit the place. Yesterday, our response team still went there. So far, we have reactivated the Emergency Operation Committee meeting. Usually, we used to meet once in a week, but now they will meet twice. They will meet after every 2 days because we need to receive report. Our disease surveillance officers in the fields. Measles vaccines have been released to those areas, and our teams in the field are already containing the situation. But of course, that wouldn't mean we will not put the public on alert. And so far, though 2 local governments were affected, there are sporadic cases in the additional 18 local governments, putting a total of 20. Apart from Lamu, the local government, all other local governments in Adamawa State are on red dots as far as the issue of measles is concerned.
Other approvals by the council include the award of contract for the renovation of the High Court Complex A and B at the cost of over 1.9 billion naira and 495 million naira.
The Yobe state government, with support from the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has flagged off the distribution of assorted food items from the National Strategic Reserve, targeting 126,000 vulnerable individuals in the state. While flagging off the distribution to 300 beneficiaries at the government house in Damaturu, the governor, Mai Mala Buni, cautioned officials against diverting the food items.
Excellency.
Governor Mai Mala Buni, in company of some government officials, arrives the Government House Event Center for the flag-off of the distribution of 21,000 bags of assorted food items to vulnerable and less privileged persons. The Executive Secretary of the State Emergency Management Agency explains the details of the palliative.
The food items will be shared equally to all the local governments in the state. Also based on the directive of the President, 20% of the food items due to each local government should be given to religious groups, JNI and CAN, and 3% to be given to boarding schools in the local government areas.
Dignity of beneficiary should be paramount in our distribution. Your Excellency, today you can see the 300 beneficiaries for this flag-off were all under the shade with their food basket, unlike before that we stack the food basket under the sun and they keep waiting.
Before inspecting the 4 pyramids of the assorted food items and handing over to beneficiaries, Governor Mai Mala Buni made clear that his government will not tolerate cases of diversion, as anyone found wanting will be dealt with ruthlessly.
Citizens' welfare, no doubt, occupies a primary position on the priority list of this administration. And this explains the continuous intervention by the government to ensure that food is made available to the less privileged and vulnerable groups. It is gratifying that the federal government under the able leadership of our leader, the President and Commander-in-Chief, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is today complementing the efforts of the state government through the Strategic Grain Reserve Program with 21,000 bags of assorted grains made up of maize, millet, sorghum for distribution to individuals across the state.
A 15-man committee, including security agencies, religious and traditional rulers, have been saddled with the responsibility of distributing the food items to the 17 local government areas of the state.
Joining us on the program now is the Director General for Press and Media Affairs to Governor Mai Mala Buni, Mr. Mamang Mohammed. Mr. Mohammed, thank you for joining us on the program and thank you for your patience.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So a few things that you should clarify for starters. The report says the distribution is targeting 126,000 individuals, but 300 beneficiaries were presented with food items at the government house. So what would be the approach to distributing to reach the 126,000 individuals? And would this be 126,000 households or 126,000 individuals?
Well, first, let me clarify this. It is 126,000 individuals. What happened at the government house was symbolic distribution of these. Some local governments were presented, while others will have the distribution. Of course, they will all move the distribution to their respective areas. So we have local government committee on distribution. Of course, it comprises of organizations, including faith-based organizations, the security. We have even the EFCC as members of this distribution. You've heard the governor very, very loud and clear saying that of any diversion or action that is taken against the interest of the people, the governor has mentioned unwanting will be dealt with decisively.
So, Mr. Mama, what's the criteria for qualifying to access the assorted food items?
Yes, the groups have been identified, people from the less privileged, that is, we have the orphans, elites, the aged group, schools, and faith from the distribution process. And of course, even that it has been made very clear that the committees distribute center on this group of persons who are vulnerable and of course from these support.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that if there's a time in the course of the program. But this is just as important. What are some of the arrangements that the state government is putting in place, perhaps in conjunction with the local authorities, to ensure that there is order in the distribution of the food items such that there would be no casualty, no incident recorded, as we have seen in some other parts of the country during the distribution of palliatives?
Yes, the advantage we have is over the years, because of these internally displaced persons, the State Emergency Management Agency is an authority today in distribution of palliatives to the people. Over the years, they've carried out this severally, and it may interest you to note as well that even religious organizations have commended the distribution system here in Yobe State, because it is reaching those that are targeted for, really those from this. So we don't have any problem here, because over the years, in the course of distribution of materials to internet displaced agency,
has garnered a lot of experience at doing that. Before this, the State Emergency Management Agency had been distributing palliatives provided very successfully, meeting the targets, and of course, from the feedback, like His Excellency said that the last time, 1,000 bags of assorted grains. He commended for executing the project successfully, and he got that from feedback report from his other sources that he constituted to ensure that, yes, not that and the beneficiaries, and of course it's working. So we don't have problem here with this. I think maybe some other places, but certainly not here. Here, to IDPs has made the State Emergency Management Agency an authority in distribution of palliatives.
And we hope that just as you have provided the assurance that there would be no incident during the distribution of the palliatives in the local government areas that have been identified.
I assure you that.
And besides that, 126,000 is just a handful. We hope that the state government has broader programs to reach the people of Yobe State amid the continuing economic hardship. Mr. Mama Mohammed, Director General, we must anchor at this point for press and media affairs to Governor May Malabuni in Yobe State. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And that's it on the program. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week. I am Bukola Koka. Bye for now.